What's going on, YouTube? This is an unboxing and overview of the Core X5 case from Thermaltake. Let me start off by getting a few shots of the box here. This kind of gives you details on what the case can handle for fans and radiators and clearance. One thing I was not pleased about, though, was its way from making it its long distance from California to lovely New England. That happened, so I'm a little anxious to see what's gonna happen when we pull this thing out, if it's gonna be damaged or not. So, without further ado, let's start pulling her apart. Alright, so let's open her up, see what's inside. So we've got a booklet. Some kind of bracket. I'm not sure what that is. So let's find out. Alright. Give me one moment while I pull this out and I'll be right back. Well, we shimmied it out of the box. Kind of had to wiggle it out on the floor. Let's see here. Nice look at that. Seems like this is around where the impact was, but thankfully seems to be no damage. Just a tiny little scuff right there, but that looks like it's gonna be in the protective film on the outside and not the glass itself. So wow, lucky one there. Give you guys a good view of the front of the casing. This thing is absolutely gorgeous. Very nice cube look to it. Extensive and just ridiculous amounts for space for radiators and fans. It's going to be a nice build. So the removal of the side panel is the same as any other chassis, just top and bottom screws holding the window in place. These were actually fastened quite more snug than any other case I've seen before. I had to get actually a screwdriver out to get them off. Usually I can just get them off my fingers. So let's pop this thing open. It looks like it'll just pop it right off. So I'm gonna put the phone down for just a brief second. Alright, so we've removed the window from the casing. I don't know if we can see it due to the quality of this camera. So let's see. Oh, there we go. There we go. And it's focusing now. See if I can kind of zoom in on this. There is a clear scuff going all the way across the top that fades out once you get to about right here. Thought it was just a smudge, but most definitely not, because it's not coming off. Now, I don't think I'm gonna return it over that because I really want to get this started. I really like this case. So I think I might just deal with it. Just bear in mind, if you're shipping across the country, international, what have you, that this might happen. Okay, so we've also removed the top of the chassis as well. I thought this was a really cool feature. I just noticed this. The fan filter, surprisingly, is magnetic. Very nice, very nifty. I wish they did that in the bottom as well to match flushly with the openings in the casing like they did the top. Because the bottom's just full of gaps. Top, gorgeous looking. I like that a lot. The bottom just kind of slides in, no magnets whatsoever. This I like a lot. So we pulled off the top of the chassis. As you can see here, oh, by the way, it was just held in 2 screws, same as every other piece. Let's see here. We have a nice gigantic fan filter covering our 2 360mm slots here. I thought that was actually pretty cool It holds itself together pretty nicely on here. It looks very, very clean. Very nice look to it. So let's dive in further to this chassis. Alright, now we've opened her up a little bit. As you can see here, we have our 3 5 1/4 bays here on the side. All our connections to our front panels, to our motherboard, audio connections, USB 3.0, 2.0. One thing I really enjoyed about this case is the fact that the motherboard actually sits laying down on the chassis as opposed to laying up against it and letting all the gravity kind of pull your cards down. I have a gigantic graphics card, and I'm not too big a fan of that. I'm afraid of that thing sagging and having my my GPU PCB start warping. So I was very, very intrigued when I saw this type of casing and started looking into it, and that's one of the reasons why I actually chose this. That and the extensive airflow. The one thing that kind of irked me, other people do it, but I don't think I'm going to, is as you can see here, we have a nice big bay in the bottom that fits fans. But unless I were to switch the walls of the chassis around, the fans here would just kind of be impeded by the plexiglass. So I was looking into it, and it's not really for direct cooling. It's more so for air circulation, which I guess makes sense, but to me, I don't know, a little useless. Okay, so I've removed the front panel to give you guys a better look at the interior here. And as you can see, your I/O board on the side here, you can actually switch that left to right. Pop it off on one side, put it on the other. And included on the front, as stated before, 120mm fan, it looks like. Only 3-pin, unfortunately. I myself am a big fan of 4-pins. As you're going to see later on in this, I have quite a few 4-pin fans and a couple hubs. We're going to rig this baby up very, very nicely. As you can see here, our 5 1/4 bays, all with thumb screws, easily pop right out if you want to throw in a 360mm radiator into here, or 3 120mm fans, one 200mm, a couple 140s. Looks like you'd be able to fit 2. I just cannot wait to throw some wheels on this. It's gonna look so cool. Alright, so it looks like to remove this bay right here, there is 4 screws, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're gonna pull this off right now. Grab this bay out to give us a little more of a better look at our 3.5-inch bays hidden off to the side over there. So if you just bear with me a brief moment, I'm going to grab these off and I'll be right back. Alright, so we've removed our 4 thumb screws from the fan bay over here. And as you can see, comes right out. Just lay that off to the side there. And there's all of our chassis components so far that we've managed to take out of this. And over here, let's get a good look at the front. Alright, this is it dismantled. Look at the back now. I really wish they could have figured out a way. I wouldn't mind a metal front, so then they could have had a magnetic fan filter here. That would have been very nice, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. Still very gorgeous case, fan filters all around. The only one I have a gripe with, like I said, is in the very bottom here, because you have these small gaps, but easily be covered. If I grab some filters off of Amazon or eBay. Now, when I first saw these, I wondered for a quick second what they might be. And as I looked further, I noticed that, wow, those look like they would fit 2.5-inch drives. And in fact, they do. 3, to be exact. And I thought that was pretty nifty. So, I don't know if it would be possible to reverse these around. But then if you combine that with the airflow from the other side, that would be actually really, really good cooling for your hard drives. I think that's a pretty nifty feature for this. And another thing I noticed is all the modularity this freaking thing has. There is a lot. I don't know if I mentioned it previously, but you can stack these up. You can get multiples of these and fasten them together and have one complete unit, say, just for all your water cooling needs, your reservoirs, your pumps, and all that. And then have another unit stacked on top. And you could have that for all of your components. So, Alright, so let's take off our couple of our 2.5-inch drive bays here so we can get a little further into this casing. And because it seems like they fastened our little present up in a 3.5-inch drive bay inside of here. So to get to it, let's grab these bad boys and take them off. Let's see, how do they come off? Alright, so we've got our 2.5-inch drive bays out. So without further ado, let's take our present. See what Thermaltake gave us. Nifty little box. Give me 1 second, let me get the box out. Alright, got the box out. That's kind of funny. They put holes in it. Fasten it in place so it wouldn't bounce around. Isn't that nice? So let's open this bad boy up. Okay, so that opened right up. So let's see what we got. Let's see. Got our alarm. We got a couple zip ties. A lot of screws. And motherboard standoff screws. Every kind of last screw you could imagine that you would need for your chassis. A couple zip ties. An alarm. Connect to your motherboard. Alright, now if I can just give a more thorough overview of the specifications of this case. We're looking at altogether an extended ATX chassis. As far as motherboards go, as for what you can fit in it, you can do anywhere from mini ITX all the way up to E-ATX, anything in between. So don't be afraid if you have a tiny motherboard or a gigantic motherboard if you want to throw it inside this thing. As far as sizing goes, we're looking at 18 by 14 by 21 inches. So this is not by any means a small girl. When the box came in, I was shocked. The pictures honestly made it look smaller. Because one of the main reasons I had gone for this chassis was because it looked like it was smaller than its X9 counterpart. So that was very appealing to me. Now the size, it's not really a deal breaker for me because I don't mind it. You know, if I wanted small, I would have gone with a micro ATX build, not an extended ATX, or I don't even, not I'm sorry, not an ATX build. I'm sorry. So let's see here. So for the total weight of the chassis, we're looking at about 26 pounds. Black exterior and interior, no really difference in the coloring in there. It's all just the black SGCC metal, except for the front. Alright, and over here you can see we have our 3 5.25-inch bays. Down here we have our 4 3.5-inch bays. And over there prior we have, well, you can see one sitting there now, but there was 3 hidden away 2.5-inch bays for your hard drives as well. So very extensive options for storage, for modularity, for cooling, for anything you can possibly think of. I mean, this case has it. Alright, so a few more things I wanted to point out here is these railings up top here, very nice. They also come with, see if I can get the camera to focus on this. So you can see they're numbered 180, 140, and 120. And what that is for is you can appropriately space these depending on what size fan you're going to be putting in here, or a radiator, so it'll appropriately fit what you're throwing at it. And another additional feature I wanted to point out is this little holder back here that's fastened to the chassis right underneath the I/O board on your motherboard. And what that does is you run your cables through it so as to prevent any damage from happening to the I/O board in the event of your mouse, keyboard, or whatnot getting yanked. Alright, so a quick run through of all the components we're going to be throwing inside of this casing. So you can see over here for our motherboard, we have the MSI Z170A Gaming M5 ATX motherboard. I'm going to pair that up with 16 gigs, two 8GB sticks of DDR4 2666 MHz from Corsair, just a Vengeance LPX edition. For our front intake fan, we have the Cooler Master Megaflow 200mm red LED transparent silent fan. Thermaltake actually gives us a small 120mm 3-pin fan, but I'm just going to step it up a notch and throw this bad boy in there and see how that fares out. For a processor, we have the Intel Skylake i7-6700K. Power supply, EVGA Supernova 850 G2. And for our additional radiator fans, the radiator is not here. There's no box for it that I have here, so it just wouldn't look pretty all kind of just sitting here together with this. But this, we're going to try and do a push-pull configuration in the case, and so we might be able to fit it now. Some additional case fans, some 1.5 centimeter thin Rosewell case fans, also PWM. For a graphics card, we have a 980 Ti Strix edition from Asus. And let's see here for storage. For our main operating system drive, we have the Crucial MX100 256GB. Also with that, I pair it together with a couple drives, solid state Crucial MX100s in RAID 0, and I use that for my gaming. I don't recommend doing that for an operating system. Putting your operating system on a RAID 0 array is just kind of begging for trouble. Then for additional storage, we have a 1 terabyte Western Digital hard drive. Alright, so another additional, piece of shit. One other additional issue I ran into here while installing these components was the motherboard standoff screws. The majority of them went in just fine, but there were several on this piece here that were just not threaded wide enough. I had to get my drill out and actually thread them a little wider to get the standoff screws to fit snugly. And it's a little bit of elbow grease involved. Seemed like it was just a minor defect in the case. I just figured I'd point that out, but a little hiccup and a little road bump on our way to installing everything. Alright, so let's get a look at the case here now that it's all set. Ignore my little scuff on my DVD drive there. This thing's a couple years old, but that doesn't look too shabby. I like the 200mm red LED fan in the front. It gives it a nice look. We'll move over here to the side. These three fans at the bottom, I've actually unplugged them because they were actually really noisy and I didn't feel like playing around with the PWM manager right now. The VGA GPU card, fans aren't spinning because it's they automatically stay off until it hits like 30 or 40 Celsius. But I do have a few gripes with this case. One of the main issues I have is the lack of cable management on the inside. Um, there's just not really too many places to run your cabling and kind of fasten it down. They just kind of give you a bunch of zip ties and tell you to have at it. And the other gripe I had was just a lot of the pre-drilled holes on the casing and just being too small. It seemed like there was a lot of quirky little manufacturer's defects with this case, like thumb screws being on abnormally tight, threads being too small, stuff like that. But you know, not stuff that's going to prevent you from completing your build. We were able to power through it, and it seems like this case is actually going to be pretty promising.